Hey guys, welcome back to Set the Standard.
The standard.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Selden Standard. Did that sound weird? Because it's been a while since we've been together.
I gotta set the standard.
The
There, it sounds set the standard.
Is this the first time you're filming in your merch?
You noticed. Cool.
Yeah.
Merch. I don't know, can you see it? Really can't. I guess
We made some cool merch.
I'll have to do a back shot before we
I'll
close
actually
up.
insert photos. I have photos. I'll put it in
Even better.
the video if you're watching on YouTube.
The magic of computation.
Yeah. I designed our merch and then Dad approved it. Dad said yes or no.
I do the
That's
approval.
pretty much it. He's like the president of this.
I am the
president of this podcast.
The president.
He's the funder. The
presidente.
Yeah, it doesn't go unnoticed.
Wow. Hey, long time no see.
Long time no see. I've been kind of, pulling the weight of this podcast a little bit.
Ooh.
Just kidding. But I felt inclined to do some solo podcasts. Let us know in the comments if you like those.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dad can do a solo podcast. He's attempted one, but he can always try another. And we thought this would be a great episode to kick off the Thanksgiving season. It's going to be Thanksgiving this Thursday for us and for everybody who celebrates.
In the US of A.
In the US of A, it is our Thanksgiving. We are going to be giving thanks. And with that being said, there's been a lot of chatting around giving, money, generosity, gift giving, especially with Christmas coming up. I think in church, around friends, family, relationships. What do you want for Christmas? What are we doing for Thanksgiving? How can we help others? I think there's so much conversation around giving this time of year. And so I think my dad and I called my dad recently because at my church, they're doing a whole segment on how you can give and generosity and financials. So I thought it would be kind of cool to get into how I would like to give. I have some giving goals, how we can be better, times maybe that we weren't. And if you are financially, you're budgeting, so you have a tight budget and you're like, well, I don't know how I can give, we're just going to talk about ways you can give better and
give better.
Yes, or give it all, I guess.
Yes.
So I'm excited to do this episode. This will also inspire me. I put on my goals for the year of 2024 to give more, and I feel like I really didn't.
24 or 25? We're almost 25 now.
That's what I'm saying. So at the top of 2024, one of my goals was to give more. I really didn't feel like I narrowed in on that one. So I think this conversation will be good. We just want to say happy Thanksgiving, and we'll get right into it. I think I'll start the episode with talking about giving financially. We're just going to get right into it. And I wanted to ask you, Dad, have you ever given financially? Have you ever felt inclined when you were maybe younger? Because you did do well in your 20s and 30s. And I know you were in the Word at some point before you kind of, life hit and then whatever. But did you have a church that ever kind of talked about giving and donating or even charity work? I never heard much about that. I just kind of want to know what your experiences of giving in your life.
I think the answer is yes. And before I go there, though, I think it's important to realize that most everyone on this that listens to us has probably had the word sharing, told to them, whether it was in school, by a teacher, hey, you need to share. And or you have siblings, I used to do that with you and your siblings about sharing. So that mentality of sharing and giving is something that you try to teach little kids early on.
Yeah.
Right? Like toys is a big one. You get a toy and one kid doesn't let the other kid play with his toy, and especially if it's a sibling, and let him play with your toy for a little while, and no, it's mine, that kind of thing. By nature, we're selfish, so we don't like to share or give. By nature, generally speaking, it's not true with everybody. So my behavior was formed more about understanding first and foremost why would I want to share? Like, why would I want to give? Money or time. It doesn't always have to be money. And for people out there going, hey, I don't have any money to give. You can give time. You can volunteer.
Yeah, I was kind of going to get into that.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to hear your background on.
Yeah, no. And so my attitude towards it has been kind of a combination of helping just by volunteering my time. But in the example of a specific organization, I was in a group of people who formed their own Bible study many, many years ago. And the gentleman who taught that took time out of his life to meet with us. He had to drive an hour and a half one way to meet with us.
Okay.
And he never asked for a penny. And we would probably have the study for, 2-3 hours. And I just remember there was a time where we all felt compelled to want to help him. Not necessarily like he didn't have clothes or any of that kind of stuff. You'd have to know a little more about his background. But at the end of the day, I was compelled to give him, sometimes it's $10, so we'd all pitch in. And one time he told us the story. He says, I just want you guys to know, last week when I came here for the study, he says, I didn't have any money. I didn't know if I had enough money to buy gas to get home. And this was an older gentleman. I mean, he was very successful in his day, but he had given all that up to teach. And so we had given him certainly that. And he just said, he goes, the Lord provides. That was his thing. And I remember thinking about that because I had been to churches where they said, you have to give so much you have to make a commitment at the beginning of the year to how much you're going to give.
Okay.
And the church said, the reason we need that is we need to know so we can budget.
Oh,
right?
Interesting.
And I don't follow that type of understanding, and there's more behind that, but just for the sake of you going forward with this, with your questions. So that part then I've had scenarios where I went to churches where they were raising money for, say, something in another country or something like that.
Okay.
And I always felt like I would like to know where my money's going. Now, you never know. You could give a church $100 and, they could buy, a new coffee machine with it or whatever. But if you want to make sure, or I wanted to make sure that if I was giving X amount of dollars and it was for X project or whatever, that I would have some quotations control over that. So those were kind of my experiences because I was always fearful that.
So then did you not give it all because you just never really knew?
I made sure when I did decide to give, and we're going to get into specific other ways you do this stuff. We were talking about this on the phone.
Yeah.
If it's in an organizational scenario, I'll do my research to make sure that when I give, it's going to go the best I can without physically delivering it myself, that it's going to go where I am being asked for it to go.
Totally.
So I'll give you a quick one. Just recently, someone that I've known from the past wrote a book, and the book it's a Christian book, and they sent me a copy for free.
Interesting.
And remind me to show it to you.
Okay.
And I knew this individual 30 some years ago, and he just sent me a copy. So I sent him money.
Oh, okay.
He didn't ask for it at all, So, and it wasn't him that got the money. It was his organization. So I knew it was going to go, and I've known him a long time. So to me, and that money is going to go to print more of these books to give to other people.
Okay.
So it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pay it forward type of thing. If you've ever heard that term, pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a recent example.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
But then I also donated tons to my children.
That's
I mean, the giving never stops.
That's a bare minimum. Sorry. No, just kidding.
I digress. Go ahead.
So I think I recently pondered on this thought of giving, and I think it started last year, end of last year. I was thinking about giving, and I wanted to give more. And I had realized that I really cherish my time even more than money. And so I was like, let me look at things that I can donate my time to, AKA help people out, help make meals or whatever it was. And I realized even in LA where I live currently, it was really hard to find not like charity work, but work to, make meals for people or, donate my time. And it was really hard to kind of find that. So then I lost sight of my goal of wanting to donate more time to help people. And then I just didn't think about anything financially because at the top of the year, I wasn't doing very well. And so now that I feel like I'm in a better spot, I've just been reflecting on how I can give. But you're right. I want to make sure that I'm giving financially and it'll benefit something. I think when you give financially, you work so hard for your money. I do, and you have. And I really want to make sure that the hard-earned money that I've worked for is going towards something that is making an impact. And sometimes I feel like when you are just scanning the QR code and you're sending, or like right now at the cashiers at Whole Foods or just some grocery stores, it's like, do you want to round up to feed the children and stuff like that? And I just think to myself, I do round up, but I'm like, I really hope this goes to who they say they're sending it to. So I would say, if you're not doing well financially, look in your community, or not even not doing well financially. Maybe you just cannot contribute financially to something. Every penny counts, especially right now with pricing of everything and holidays and food and family. And you're bringing a pie here, a pie there, a wine here, a gift there. It's really tough around the holiday season. And I think a lot of people get depressed. A lot of people feel shameful. A lot of people feel embarrassed that they can't bring gifts, afford this, afford that. You ever receive a gift from someone and they're like, it's not much, but I tried, or I can't tell you how many times. And it's about the thought. It's about if you can donate even a little bit of time, a little bit of.
Do you remember, it was many years ago, we had you guys go with us and we delivered Thanksgiving meals to people?
I do, but we were really young, right?
Well, yeah, but that was the point. It didn't cost us anything. We went to they had the church had organized.
Oh, the donation of food.
Right. So we went. Remember, there was a big line. All the stuff we had to pull the food and put it in a box. I think it was.
Yeah.
And then they gave us addresses.
Yep.
Of people. So what we did was we put in a turkey, some stuffing, I think some potatoes in a box, and they gave us these addresses, and we got our navigation, and we had the kids in the car, and we drove around, and we found these people's homes. Some of them were home. Mm-hmm. We knocked on. You remember, you guys knocked on the door.
Yep.
And they took them, and they thank you, and some of them, I don't know if we left it. I don't remember now what we did, but so that was a way, really, other than the gas that it cost me to put in the car, which wasn't a lot. Mm-hmm. That was, and I tell you, that was an enjoyable experience because you were physically involved with, kind of getting the order together. Mm-hmm. And you get these addresses, and they were, with all in close proximity of where we were. And you go to these people's homes, and some people, you could tell they were just so excited. You could have, just by giving them that box of food, made their whole holiday. To your point, this idea that maybe they didn't have enough money to even buy and enjoy a Thanksgiving meal, where we've readily been able to do that our whole lives.
Yeah.
And so, man, you just think about that versus just handing someone $20.
I wish there was more organized stuff like that, because I feel like I'm gonna look again.
There is.
Coming up this week, leading into Thanksgiving. It might be too late. Things might already be done, but I think I'm going to look this week. If not, I will give financially. I just feel like you have to put your trust where some of your money's going. But I think you're right. I think sometimes doing that makes you feel a little bit more fulfilled than just sending $100 to your church or to whatever.
I'll tell you another one that can be real fulfilling. Terry and I did this once. We volunteered to help clean up elderly's homes, the exterior, and it was an organized group. And what they did was they went to these people's homes who were older and not physically capable, and we went over there, and it was just a day deal, and they dropped us off with rakes and shovels or whatever. And when you have 10 people jump out of cars with shovels and rakes and whatever, man, you can knock out a yard and make it look pretty nice and cut the lawn, trim, just the basic stuff. We weren't planting trees or anything. I mean, we were weeding and doing stuff like that. And man, you walk away, and a lot of these people would thank, they were like, thank you. And you go, wow, just for 2, 3, 4 hours or whatever it was. We did another one where we served food in a kitchen to people.
See, I like that too. I think that's really cool.
It humbles you to the point. This, I guess, is a part of it that I know you'll get to. But what it does, while giving is hopefully beneficial to the person or people, man, what you get from it as an individual, I would say at this stage of my life, it's probably one of the most fulfilling things because I have all that I need. And so there are so many people that lack the basic things. It's almost like, how you give clothes away sometimes? And you think, you always hope it goes to someone who needs them. And I always feel a little bad because I go to Salvation Army, drop off a bag of clothes. I go, man, I hope this, because some of the clothes aren't that worn out. And I just go, man, I hope this goes to someone who could use these clothes. Warm jacket, socks. I mean, you just think about some stuff like, it's so simple sometimes. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's so great. I think also this year, I've worked forever on the YouTube side of things and the beauty space, and I have so much makeup. So I think even like on my YouTube channel, I'm going to do 15 bags of like Beautiful. Makeup, and then I'll probably just pick random subscribers to send to.
Perfect.
And mail those out. So if you guys are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll link it in the description box. And if you guys are into makeup and stuff like that, I will do that in my next vlog. I will totally hook you guys up. I feel so blessed in some of those ways. So I think sometimes when I'm receiving free PR, and yes, I've worked hard for my position and, the clothing that I get and stuff like that, I still feel very grateful for what I have. And I just go, wow, I take some of this for granted, and people pay $18 for the mascara, 5 mascaras that were just sent. And so any way I can give back in ways, if you guys are watching this, leave a comment down below of maybe charities you love, ways you give back, or give your time. That'll be really, really cool. I feel like it's something to do because this year, you're going to do Thanksgiving with the family. I'm going to fly back to LA, and I can afford to make my own Thanksgiving dinner, even with a few friends. And I feel like that's so lucky. There's people that really just don't have money like that. And I even have some friends that sometimes are like, hey, gas money's kind of short. I'm working paycheck to paycheck, and I'm trying my best. And so I feel so lucky that I can make a Thanksgiving dinner on my own if I wanted to. So I think giving back this year is going to be a big thing. And another thing I just want to talk about too at the church that I go to Mosaic Hollywood. And, as much as sometimes you go to church, you sometimes sit there and you think, oh, I don't agree with this, or I don't know if I get this message. I feel like there's a lot of times I've gone to different churches, not just this church specifically, a bunch of different churches. I've tried a bunch in LA. I've been to some in Michigan. There are times where I sit there and I am like, I don't like this message, or I'm bored or whatever, but I always try to take away something. I'm like, I'm here, I'm listening, I'll scrape for something. So, when churches start going into this whole giving thing, and if you don't go to church or you're not Christian or whatever, maybe you've heard people talk about how to give or donate your time, or maybe you don't feel like you need to do any of that. But, this church that I go to started a whole series on giving and generosity. And sometimes I sit in church and I feel
pressure.
Yep. I feel maybe it's like awkward because I also know that there's a lot of starving artists in LA, and these kids are just trying to find an avenue to find God and maybe just be inspired. So sometimes they're like, hey, come to Bible study. It'll be awesome. Hey, by the way, the topic is giving. Or I'm not picking on this church at all, because the church does need to make money. But this isn't the first time that I've had it. I actually walked into one church in LA, and I won't name names. The very first service I went to after a few years of not going, and they were just like, let's talk about how you can give to us. And it was basically an hour and a half's worth of that. But I will say, recently with this new series we started at my church, they were talking about how you view money, and basically that endures, like, that'll tell you how you then spend money. And so there was 4 ways on how humans normally view money. It's I love money. Money is life. I hate money. Money is evil. God thinks money is evil. Third one is money is scarce. Money will run out. I need to hold on to my money and save it. And then the fourth one is money provides opportunity. It provides freedom. And so they basically were saying this is how people normally view money. So I was analyzing my two, and maybe you can analyze your two, Dad. My two, how I view money is money provides opportunity and freedom, and I love money. Money is life. I think I know what your two is. I feel like growing up, you looked at money as opportunity to invest and save, but I also feel like you made money feel kind of scarce. And what would you say your relationship with money is throughout the years? Did you love money? Did you hate money? Did you think it was scarce, or do you think it provided opportunities? And obviously this comes in waves, but what would be your main two, your primary and your secondary view of money?
Yeah, well, I don't know that those four, I don't, know if I really like just those four. Okay. I always found it to be that that was the result of my work was money.
Ooh, that's scary.
Yeah, so I was always driven, from very early age. I was, whether I was in my day, you used to get paid to go pass out newspapers. So you would literally go get the newspapers early in the morning. You'd have to roll them up and put a rubber band around them. And then you'd have to go deliver them to people's homes on your bike or you walk. You carried a big bag with all these in there. And you maybe made 2 cents per paper. I don't remember. It wasn't a lot. But if you had 1,000 customers, you started adding up, right? So early on, I remember, because I had this apartment complex with my older brother, and I found a way to go. I figured out in my head a pattern to be the most efficient in delivering the newspapers, and I would run. Like it was 2-story apartment buildings. So I'd go second floor, first floor, go into the basement. They had a tunnel that took you to the next apartment. So I didn't have to go outside. Boom. Then I'd go first floor, second floor, back down underneath, and so on. And so I'd carry all these newspapers, and they were round up. The old throw the newspaper and it lands on the front porch kind of thing. But we were doing these apartment complexes, and I remember all I knew is I wanted to be faster every time. So it was a competition for me. And then I would get paid. So I was like, well, that's cool. I get paid for doing this, and I made a game out of it. And it's really funny because I realized this many years ago. That's been really my career in life with jobs. I make a game out of it. I get the money, and the money provides experiences. It's a tool that helps me to do things, whether it's for myself, for other people, a family that I had, and so on. So,
Did you ever feel like it was scarce?
No, because I always felt that because of the types of jobs I had, I wasn't on I never had a job, where I made X dollars a year, and then I waited till the end of the year and I'd get maybe a raise, 2% or 3%. I always had jobs were predicated on performance. The better you perform, the more money you made. Mm-hmm. So I was always in some kind of sales or leadership role. And I think that was perfect for my type of person. In other words, for me to work at a desk job and get paid X amount of dollars a year, and then get a yearly raise, and then do that the next year and the next year, I probably wouldn't have done well as a person because I needed to be challenged. And the result of meeting that challenge or exceeding it, I was rewarded.
Now, did you ever work and then not receive the money that you think you should have thought or received?
Yeah, oh yes.
Because that's where sometimes I feel like money is scarce, because I think I run into the scarcity money mindset when I'm working hard and then maybe I'm not seeing the kickback I should, because I've also never worked a job where it's a solid salary. I mean, I've worked jobs where it's like...
So this could be a separate podcast.
Yeah.
And what we're getting at is,
just how you view money, and then
right.
How
that predicates how you give.
Yes.
Right.
And ultimately,
or share.
yes, give or share. And And essentially, the rainbow on top of this conversation that the pastor talked about was that everything in this world, including money, is not yours. It is owned by God. So they kind of segued into how to give is the money that you have and that you're keeping in your bank account or your whatever, that's not yours. So in general, giving to God is just giving him what
is already his.
Yes. And then on top of it, they were saying he will reward you back more. So do you believe, let's say I'm like, okay, I'm going to start giving 10%. Let's say I personally make that decision.
There's that, by the way, that is a biblical thing.
The 10%.
Yes.
Yes, is the percentage that people they say to give.
Right.
So
but there just for clarity.
Yes.
There are other areas that it's spoken about in terms of giving and how you should go about it. But I'm going to let you finish. So that discussion about if you want to get it specific to God and his intentions for it, that would be in its own discussion point. So what I mean by that is I was raised Catholic. Catholics say 10%.
Yes.
So the church bases everything on 10%, as does you as a person. So if you make $50,000 a year, you're giving $5,000. Now, is it gross or net? That gets to be a discussion. So you make gross 50, but you only take home 35. So it's 10 of the 35.
Okay, that kind of makes sense because you give the rest to the government.
You're theoretically,
that makes sense.
But when it gets to that kind of mechanics, right? Are you really giving from your heart, or are you doing it because you're told to do it? So
let's say
God says to give with a free, a freeness. It's can't think of exactly how he says it, but when you give, you should give without regret, something like that.
Okay.
So in other words, I don't want to be going, I got to give my 10%, because that's not really right. You want to be giving it out of the goodness, if you will, of your heart.
So let's say at the top of the year, I say I want to give 10% of whatever I make. And let's say I budget this amount of money as giving. This is what I was getting at. Excuse me. The pastor claimed that then God will give back so much more into your life. And you know what's funny? I haven't tried this, so I potentially am thinking about trying it for the year of 2025, giving 10%, budgeting 10% of what I potentially will make. I am never 100% sure of how much I will make, but this year I'm going to be a little bit more focused, a little bit more control of how much money I'm going to be bringing in, thankfully. God bless. But let's say I budget 10% at the top of the year and I give. Do you believe, and this is just maybe Dad's opinion, or since Dad has been studying the Bible for a little bit, he can give me his correct thoughts. The pastor in the church was saying that you will receive double of what you give if you do give 10%. Do you think that's true? Or do you think I would be hurting myself?
So
what do you think about that?
So giving is part of, think about the thought of this. So if I give with a giving heart, and I don't expect anything in return, there's a freeness to that. So it's like a friend comes up, she says, hey, Genelle, can I borrow $100? Okay, I'll pay you next week. Sure, here you go. Next week comes, they don't pay you. 2 weeks goes by. Now they're not calling you back. You don't see them. How do you feel about that person? Not too good. Like, wow, they really jammed me up. $100 may not be the end of your life, but the fact that they ask you, they said they were going to pay you back and they didn't. At that point, the relationship is forever ruined. So that's why when we give with no thought of ever being paid back in any way, whether it be from God or someone else or whatever.
Okay.
So what God is more specific about is he says your needs will be met. And he, throughout the Bible, talks about those with abundance, right? And what he says is those that have more than those that don't should give freely.
Okay.
Right? So maybe you have more wheat, than someone else does.
All right.
So you give wheat. Maybe you, whatever it is. It wasn't always money. Remember, it was food. It was sustenance. It was things of that nature. So today we think of it a lot in terms of money, and it's not always that. You know, people need all kinds of things. You know, give someone a car, which in a way is a form of money, but it's one way to help somebody. So I think, but this idea that I'm going to give to get more in return is already setting yourself up for this idea. And I'm not saying you in particular, but oh man, I'm going to give $5,000 because I'm getting $10K back.
Right.
No.
Maybe they mean more than
what they're saying.
If you're giving to the church will fulfill you more. Or...
You'll be blessed, but it may not be money. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's relationships. Right. Maybe it's... I
have noticed, I will say, when I've given, and let's take money out of it now. When I found that I got more in the word, like recently I've been talking in these solo podcasts, if you've heard, if I got more back into my word, more back into the church, I've noticed that I give more when it comes to kindness, when it comes to sharing a smile, sharing an extra hello. When I'm kind of not in the Bible or not in church, I'm very kind of closed off. I don't give my attention as much, you know, and obviously you got to protect yourself too. But I will say too, giving can be just looking at someone walking by on the street and being like, good morning, or, you know, just being kind and gracious and offering love.
Let's use an example.
Okay.
So around LA, and certainly in this area we have here and there, is there people that are sitting out with a sign, holding a sign saying, I need $5?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And it's not for me to judge each of these people, but what's your thought process like? This is the question to who's listening to this. When you see that, you see some person on the side of the medium or right when you come up to the stoplight, that's what we have in some areas of our town I'm nearby, and they're holding a sign. There's in fact one guy. He's in the same spot. He's in a wheelchair.
Or it's a gal, yeah.
Yep. Person, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the cardboard sign, it looks like it's been used for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, I need $2 for food or money for food. So, and I've probably seen this individual for, several years in the same spot. How is that, if you think about the legitimacy of that or not, it's not for me to know for sure, but how do you feel when you see that? Is that versus this idea that the church says, give us X dollars, and then here's the person, literally the homeless person, it looks to be, this person's homeless, that's asking for money. What's different about those for you?
I don't know if I've thought about that.
Well, do you think that person who's on the side of the street is a scammer?
Well, so there is a woman that holds a child.
Okay.
Right off the freeway.
That'll pull at your heartstrings. Sure.
Yeah, and I've looked. The guy's coming right up to the side of my car. I actually almost don't want to roll down the window because you never know. I'm a smaller person.
Okay, so we don't have to get real specific, but
what's the difference between giving to the church and potentially giving to the sorry, I saw a fly.
Go ahead, and I'll kind of give you maybe something to think about.
So giving directly to that person on the side of the road, at least you know it's going to them. I don't think that they're taking it back to their mansion.
What if you give it to them and they go buy drugs? You don't know they're going to do that. Right? So
that's why I feel like I would get them food directly. But that's hard because you're passing by, right? I don't think the homeless I would just give money to because they could just be like, not even drugs. Let's say it's less than drugs, cigarettes. I don't want to give you my money so you're going to go buy some cigarettes. I would like for you to get some water and some food. And so I wouldn't give cash. Where like to the church, I know that even if it's for a new drum set for the drummer, that music still inspired me.
Okay.
And
all right.
So maybe that's my thought process.
So quick story. I'm in an airport a couple years ago,
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of a weird deal. It was
get a drink too.
It wasn't that late at it was maybe 8:00 at night. And I was really kind of surprised. This airport there wasn't a lot of people in it. And all of a sudden this guy comes up to me, he says, "Hey, can I have $10?" And
I think I've heard
and
that.
I was like, "Oh, okay." I said, what do you need $10 for?" And he goes, "Well, I'm hungry." And I said, "Well, listen, I'll buy you some food." And we're in an airport, so it was kind of strange that he was even in the airport because you're thinking security and all that. He didn't look. I mean, he looked a little disheveled, but he wasn't like didn't look like, and he didn't smell or anything like he'd been sleeping outside for a year. So I said, "Well, I'll tell you what," and I pointed. There was like a little burger place or whatever right over there. I said, "Come on, let's go over here. I'll buy you something."
Okay.
So at that point, I thought he would leave, or he would say, "Oh no, I'm good," and take off. He goes, "Okay." So we walked over to the place, and I said, I ordered something, and I said, I'll pay for his order too. So he ordered, burger and fries or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in airports, everything's expensive. So I give it to him, and I go, "Here you go." He picked it up and he ate it. And that was that. And I thought, okay, now was he really hungry? Or did he want the 10? Was he even a guy that needed $10? Or, was he trying to scam? I'll never know. But all I know is, and this is where I was going, we want to know sometimes too often that we're giving and that's going to be used appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So sometimes if I just write a check to the Church of XYZ, $1,000, and I deposit it into a box and I walk away, I go, well, I feel good. I gave $1,000 to the church. Okay. I have no idea what they're going to do with that. Really, I don't.
What's like the worst they could do? That's where
the pastor could buy themselves a house or a new car.
If the pastor is someone that inspires,
I'm not saying that's bad.
Yeah, because listen, we listen to music where rock stars and these stars are literally buying drugs, mansions, and porn stars.
So this kind of to kind of close out this thing. I think the key to this is you would ask a question. God wants us to give with a purposeful heart.
Okay.
That we're compelled to give because we have abundance of.
We do.
Whatever it is, money, clothes, makeup, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that when we give again with the goodness of our heart, with the spirit of giving, not begrudgingly, not whatever. And that result is the inside knowing that you've done that, you're capable to do it. And again, whether it's time or money, that's all good. Right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying, wow, I think if I give 10% this year, I'll get 20% back. Or, if I give this person something, someone's going to see that look at me. Or you talk about it. Like you go, hey, I give money to people all the time. Look at me. It's not at all what it's about.
No. I think I just find myself, I feel at times just so grateful.
Then you're that's the spirit in you that's telling you should give then.
Yeah. I just want to find the appropriate ways. And I think taking this week leading up to Thanksgiving, I'm going to research ways that I can give going into the new year because I do have such a blessed life. I feel so grateful, and I feel grateful that I can even spend time doing this podcast and getting my thoughts out. And just talking about this. So I guess we'll just segue into the last little bit of this podcast that I was just going to talk to my dad about. What are you grateful for this year? What are you thankful for? This is our Thanksgiving pod, so we might as well.
Well, always family, of course.
Yeah.
And, I think, we had a little trip we took a month or two ago.
Yep.
Man, it's gone fast.
Gone so fast.
And, to be able to go and do something like that, it wasn't like extravagant or anything, but
it was pretty, it
was cool in terms of what we did. But what I mean, it's not like, we were jetting over to, New Zealand or something. It was just being able to take the opportunity to spend time together, but go see some of the beautifulness of our country, and just what's out there is it's kind of a neat experience, and
so you're thankful for like the time and
so my health, obviously, and
we explored, for those of you who don't know, we explored Big Sky, Yellowstone, the Grand Tetons, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. We really did that.
Salt Lake City.
And
then the Salt Flats. Remember that? That was kind of weird.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. That was cool though.
But yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so you're grateful for just the time.
Yeah,
and
family.
your health.
Health. Just the ability to have freedom and be able to do stuff like this and be able to do what I want. I think it reminds me just how hard sometimes you work in life and you put the time in, and Terry and I were talking about this the other day. It's like how fast time goes, and so just to be able to step back for a moment and be grateful and thankful for the time, the people that are important to you. I think that's all good stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I would say I'm grateful for the flexibility around my schedule to just kind of.
Nice. Yep.
I think that's probably one of the greatest luxuries I've had, that when I tell people I can do that, they're like, wow, I forget people have to ask for time off, and I'm not trying to like boast at all or brag, but it is a crazy concept that,
then sometimes you got to work weekends.
No,
so,
I do. Tonight I'm going to work on my laptop. It's Sunday night where a lot of people are going to chill.
Is it Sunday night?
Sunday night.
Sunday night.
So I'm grateful for my flexible schedule. I'm really grateful for my freedom of being able to just do what I want. I could work as hard as I want and make more money, or I could totally not work as hard and make less money. I feel grateful for that. Do you have any goals centered around what you're thankful for? So you're thankful for your health and your time. Do you have goals going to 2025 that you want to?
Well, we should probably do a podcast on that.
Well, I was going to do goals for 2025, but do you have any goals around giving?
Oh, I've been fortunate. I believe, I gave you some other examples of things I do giving wise. I think that, I feel led oftentimes to give.
You're right. It's like when you're inclined.
Yeah, I do feel that. And I like that more than this sort of obligation. Now that could be viewed as, you're trying to escape having to give, so that's why you do that. I've always kind of had that philosophy.
Okay. I was just pointing. I was just like, ooh, the obligation.
Obligation.
When you said yes.
Obligation.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I want you guys to let us know. I want you guys to let us know down in the comments how you give, how would you like to give, or if you think giving is crazy and that you should keep
giving
all the money to yourself, time to yourself because you're in your hustle and grind time. What do you think about giving and giving your time? So,
and if you haven't, try it.
Yeah, honestly, give it a little run of the credit card.
Maybe, yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, whether it's money, I think
time.
You find if you did something with your time, helped somebody or taught somebody, or you'd be shocked at how that makes you feel in return.
Totally. Well, on that note, we just want to say happy Thanksgiving, guys. We hope that you have an amazing Thanksgiving full of family and love. And if you are not around your family, or you don't have much family, or whatever the case is, we're sending you a lot of love.
Yes.
And we just are thinking of those who don't have the luxury of being with family or cooking the meal that has, 6 different dishes. We're sending you love. If maybe you have a charity or anything like that, we just want to learn more about that. We want to learn more about how we can help people. If you've written a book, let us know. We'll support. But I actually like the idea of supporting people's merch for their stuff, their books, whatever they're trying to do. I think I like to support people that way too. Yep. So anyways,
there's millions of ways.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast. We're wishing you so much love, and giving lots of thanks this year. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.
God bless. See you.